We are live. Got the Porter Brothers coming to you live TV, Texas and Louisiana. And we are streaming across our platforms, looking at the current events. Been a wild day. Got Bruce Porter here. How are you, Bruce?
Doing fantastic, David. Thank you, and welcome in Texas and Louisiana on Smart Money Culture TV. We do have quite a few things going on here. How is my signal?
It's looking pretty good to me.
Okay, good. All right. I was looking at the signal, the TV signal, and it looked like it was having a little time. My internet has been my internet has been slow today, which is, well, I guess there was outages. Of course, we reported on that this morning. There were cell outages across the U.S. on all the major carriers. So a lot of people, or some people, are attributing that to a solar flare, which is, I mentioned that it might be a solar flare.
Yeah, it's I don't know, man. Were you ready to break out the old satellite phone?
I mean, we have them, but did you know how to use that thing?
They say it's complicated, but it looks pretty simple. You dial the numbers, you make sure you have some sky. You got to make sure that you're connected to a satellite. So I think that's the hard part, making sure it's connected. But then it should work like normal.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, we definitely have them ready to go. Hopefully, we're not going to have to use them. Right. Let's hope that we don't have to. So, a lot going on today. Of course, we have CPAC kicking off here in Washington D.C. They're actually at National Harbor. CPAC is the Christian Coalition conference they have. Very important conference. Matt Schlapp and his wife have been running that one for quite a while, and that one is kicking off. They do have quite a bit of coverage going on there. We are going to talk about that a little bit more in depth. We also have the markets. The stock market is up. I'll just cruise over here to my screen, and I'll cruise over here to my screen, and we will talk about the markets. Let me hear. Okay. So, Dow. The Dow is up about 265 points. And that is
what do you think?
Pretty good. We're on lunch. So, that is looking pretty good. We'll see how that progresses. The NASDAQ, I believe, is also, yes, having a good day. Up 2.5% as well, 381 points on the NASDAQ. So that is looking pretty nice. Crypto is holding pretty well there at 2.5 cents. Of course, we are working very hard on that behind the scenes, updating the code there and pushing for our different things there. Bitcoin is up about 0.5% at 51,492. Ethereum has been on a pretty nice run here. It has been really flirting around this 3,000 number range pretty nicely. It's crossed it a number of times. Ethereum is the leading currency other than Bitcoin, and so that is pretty nice as well. XRP, which is also a favorite. Let me just see here, David. Hold on, this is live. We're live. This is live TV. Okay. Let's see here. XRP trading at 54, down a bit. We'll see, guys, as I talked a little bit about the phases of Bitcoin and leading up into the halvening. And so we are due a bit of a pullback. It doesn't mean it's going to happen, but historically, it does happen. So we will see. Let me just click here. Okay. Let's see here. I also wanted to look at favorite Dogecoin. They're doing pretty good, up a bit on the day. ICP, I was the one I wanted to look at. ICP is down on the week about 6%. Trading at 1292, down about a third of a point today. So we'll continue to see how that progresses. Oil has continued to move up, which is indicative of the markets a bit. I think that, it's indicative of the world situation that we have going on. If $80 is that psychological number, and I feel like if it passes $80, then of course inflation is going to go up. Goods and services are going to be higher, and that of course is going to push the inflation up. Everything, it costs more to move things, it costs more to ship things, it costs more to do everything, and so that will of course push the price of things up. Let's see here. So that's crude. Gold is up slightly as well. Natural gas took another dive. I wonder if this is again because of the Houthis. Let me just I'll look at that in a minute. Down 5%. So big spike. Let me go to the 5-day here. Big spike on natural gas a couple of days ago. And you see it hasn't returned there. I mean, it was at, but we're not far off. 150 range in here. 150s. Spiked up. Was trading at 177. Now has gone back about halfway back on that. Let's see here. Gold futures. Gold's price is set from the futures market. Futures is down now a bit, just a bit really though. I think silver is as well. Really tepid. Although we do have the Dow up, tepid markets today. U.S. stocks are up. Stocks are up overall. Asian stocks are up. Dow Jones, our different paper stocks are up. Really a little bit of a pullback in crypto, which, as I mentioned, may continue. That may continue. Remains to be seen how that will all play out here. I wanted to go right over here, and we have CPAC. See you at CPAC, Trump says. Is Trump going to be at CPAC?
The progress we've made has been incredible. Speaking at CPAC, and everyone said, maybe that guy should run for president. That was a long time ago, and the progress we've made has been incredible. But now we have people that are trying to destroy our country. We're not going to let that happen. It's going to be amazing. So we need to come together to stop Joe Biden and the radical left from destroying this great USA of ours. Let's make our country stronger than ever before. Let's make America great again, and be sure to get your tickets. And I'm going to be there. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to be talking about very serious subjects, but we'll have some fun doing it. I'll see you at CPAC. Speaking at CPAC,
all
and
right,
everyone said,
maybe
that guy should run for president.
CPAC.
That was a long time ago, and
that is
the progress we've made has been
there.
Incredible. But now we have people that are trying to destroy our country. We're not going to let that happen.
Of course, with the different stuff we got going. Mark Robinson is on fire at CPAC. We need warriors like President Trump.
And I hear a politician, an elected official say, well, you know, I don't want to speak about that issue because it might affect my re-election campaign. I have no use for you. You stand on the shoulders of young men and women who, when it was time to face down the enemy, were willing to give their lives for you. And you stand as a coward who won't do your duty in Congress or the Senate or back at home in your house or your Senate or even on your city council or board of education, or as the mayor refuse to stand up with the guts to fight against the people that want to destroy this nation. Can't have that anymore, folks. We need warriors. We need warriors like President Trump, who is literally spending his golden years fighting for the survival of this nation. Fighting for the survival of this nation. Because we need to get back to standing up for the freedoms we believe in.
There you go. They are going at it here. I may try to.
It's going to be amazing. So
I am, of course, very tasked with our play here. Here we go. One of the favorites here, Rep. Byron Donald at CPAC. Decide, Joe Biden, which country matters to you more, the border of the United States or the border of Ukraine? I think we all kind of know that.
So we have to be very clear about this. Joe Biden has a decision to make. Decide, Mr. President. Do you want to close Mount Rushmore so the southern border can be open? Do you, Joe Biden, want to tell the last remaining of our World War II vets that they cannot see the World War II memorial on the National Mall so we can have military-age men from China and the Middle East coming to our country illegally? Decide, Joe Biden, which country matters more to you, the border of the United States or the border of Ukraine?
Byron is a favorite. Everybody loves Byron Donalds. Here he is, the man here with the vision, Matt Schlapp.
There's an important thing going on in our country in which the whole world is watching. And that is, there is a unique American who is being persecuted, who is being tortured, who is the victim of the democratic policies based on the world's worst dictators, whether it be Putin or whether it be Xi, the Democratic Party and Joe Biden, doing everything they can to collude, to use the deep state, to use lawfare, to put Donald Trump in prison. Can we send a loud CPAC message to President Donald J. Trump and his family that we stand foursquare with him?
So CPAC, very important. It has turned itself into very important.
There's an important thing going.
Meeting. Matt Schlapp, that was his wife, Mercedes Schlapp. That was also on the. Oh man, Lou Dobbs is going to be at CPAC as well this Saturday. All right, well maybe I'll head over there on Saturday. I'd like to see Lou. Of course, this is at the National Harbor. At the National Harbor. We're on commercial break on TV right now. Smart Money Culture. Some more coverage here. We have, it sounds like the national anthem.
By the dawn's Twilight's last gleam, smoke shines and bright stars through perilous ramparts we watched were so gallantly and the rockets rattling, the bombs bursting in air, deep through the night. That on was still there. Oh, sing us that star-spangled
All right. Well, there you have it. They are doing their thing over there at CPAC. So pretty interesting what they have. We have a lot of stuff going on as well. Trump and Putin. First of all, let me hit Putin. Well, let's go Trump first. Trump. Trump's town hall here. Here he is.
I pray.
Do you pray regularly?
I pray.
I mean, if you don't mind me asking, because I know this is a very faith-filled audience here, and I know there are people across the globe pray for you and your safety. They're worried about your safety.
No, they are.
And they want. Do you feel that? Do you feel the power of that?
I do, but can I be honest? I worry about their safety too. These people, everybody in this room is in great danger right now. We have a nuclear weapon that if you hit New York, South Carolina is going to be gone too. I worry about their safety. I think it's the reason I'm doing this.
Do you pray regularly?
I pray.
There you go.
Wow.
The Trumpster doing it up. We had a great market report this morning from our friend here, Impact Money. Play some of that from this morning here show. TV. And thanks for joining us around the world. 5:30. Okay. We are viewed as a country, how the United States are tearing it up.
Absolutely, yeah. So as you say, there's money flooding in from everywhere at the moment. Yep. Printing money, keeping the markets afloat. So I'm just sharing my screen again. I hope you can see that.
Let me see here. I'll add you to the stage. Here we are. Look at this. Look at this. What do you call them? The green shoots?
Yeah, I mean, this is quite amazing. I think this is the S&P 500. And this was when we had the CPI news and the market tanked on that CPI news. And when you look at it on a shorter time frame, it actually shows 5 waves down. So I labeled that as a wave A. Now, what's really interesting is I thought they would probably going up wave B here and then going to push down to a low below here. there are always other possibilities. And there's one very famous saying from John Maynard Keynes. You probably know of him. He's one of the fathers of finance. Very, very influential economist. You may have heard, most people have heard of Keynes economics, Keynesian finance and so on. Very, very famous person. He said the market can stay, he was the person who actually said the market can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent. And there are always possibilities. There's never certainty in the market. So there is no possibility of absolute certainty in the market. It is all about probabilities, and that's what trading is all about. So this was really interesting. We had 5 waves down. I thought we were going to go below here, but what it tells me is that at the moment, the next best interpretation I can see is this is an A wave down. Now, the reason this cannot be ABC here is because if we have 5 waves, it's part of what's called a zigzag, which is a 5-3-5 pattern. That would be 5 down to here, 3 up to here, and 5 here. But within a zigzag, the C wave is not allowed to be shorter than the B wave. And so that means that is not possible. So I look at another interpretation. You're actually looking for interpretations which fit with the rules of Elliott wave and the market. And the market does adhere to these Elliott wave rules. And so we basically, another way we can look at it is we've got 5 waves down, but the B wave itself is made up of 3 waves. And a B wave can go beyond the start of the A wave, which it clearly has done here because we've reached new highs here on the S&P. So we've got basically a 3-3-5 or a 5-3-5, whichever it is, giving us a B wave. So I would expect that we're probably going to see a turn again in the markets from around these levels, because we shouldn't be able to go that much higher to give us a further correction down. But what it does tell me is that even if we get a correction down in a C wave, we are then going to rise to new highs, new all-time highs in the near future. So the market is on a tear and it's not over yet. So whether we've got recession coming or not, this bull run is not over yet. So even if we get a correction down, as I suspect we will, and I suspected we get the turn down here, which is precisely what we got, I now suspect we're going to get a turn down from around here, and we'll see if that's correct tomorrow, in tomorrow's show. But it's not the end of this bull run of the market. This would just be what's called an ABC correction. Correction meaning against the overall trend, which is still higher in the market. So that would mean we've got new all-time highs yet to come after what's probably going to be a correction coming. So that's quite interesting to see the S&P. The S&P is correlated with other risk assets. So I'll just move back to the S&P as well. We have actually got here what's a regular bearish divergence, which, if you remember, higher highs on price, lower highs on the RSI, is telling you of a potential reversal coming. We need to look at the following candles to try and look for some other indications. So let's see what the next 4-hour candle comes out as, or even what this 4-hour candle closes as. And then we'll get some indication as to whether this is turning here. Because at the moment, there's an indication the market's going to turn. But actually, this trend line here, the market could go higher, and we could continue to either get more extended bearish divergence, or eventually, if this RSI were to go above this level here, if RSI was to go higher, then the bearish divergence would be eliminated. So this is just giving us a warning indication that there's a potential turn going to happen. But we will always look for other indicators to confirm whether that turn is actually taking place at the moment. But this is an early warning sign telling us potential turn. So let's look at the upcoming candles in the next 4-8 hours and so on, and see what we like to see ahead of us. So we'll just flip over to Bitcoin. Bitcoin's interesting. Again, I actually think we're in some kind of A, B, C, probably correction, which would again tell me we're not finished yet on this move higher. This is purely just a correction. So we definitely have higher highs to come above the previous candle. And the previous candle high was 53,015. So a little bit above where we are now. We're 51,598 right now. So I suspect we have highs to come, maybe not immediately, but in the near future. I would be very confident we've got highs to come above that previous all-time high. So anyone who's long in Bitcoin right now, obviously protect profits, trailing stop losses, whatever. But I suspect you're going to see more profit out of this trade moving forward. It looks as though we certainly have higher highs to come on the on Bitcoin there, and we can look at it on all sorts of different time frames. But at the moment, that's the way it looks. Oil price has been interesting. It's still quite buoyant, and we've got those troubles with the Houthis in the Red Sea, still attacking ships. As we said yesterday, they're finding other routes for because an awful lot of manufacturing and produce goes through that trade route in the Red Sea, but people are finding alternative routes. And this is when you're faced with challenges, business always finds alternative ways to get around those challenges, to overcome the obstacles, and that's what's happening. So that's why the oil price is being a little bit less responsive than we would normally expect to these particular things. And also there is a bit of a glut of oil at the moment, and certainly again with natural gas, there's a glut. The storage levels are very, very high. The usage levels are lower than usual for this time of year. So it means that there isn't, on the demand side, there's not so much of demand as usual. On the supply side, there may be some potential challenges. But as I said, they're finding alternative routes there to take supplies of goods rather than straight through the Red Sea, which is encountering challenges right now. So we'll just look at a few of the big ones today. I think Solana is a really interesting one to look at. So short term, we're looking on the 4-hour chart here. We could potentially finish an ABC move down. But if we look longer term on the daily chart, I think we're actually still in the midst of a larger correction. So I do think that basically that was the top of a large wave 3 in blue. We could look at it in, we could look at the previous where it got to. But basically, it's been a big move up to give us this wave 3, made up of smaller 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in red. But then we've got a correction down, a WXY correction down to give us the A wave. We seem to have some kind of ABC correction up to give us the B wave. And I think that we still have lower to go to give us a C wave down here somewhere. So whilst short term we may chop around a little bit here, we may see a little bit of short term upward movement. I think that we've got lower to go to finish the C wave. But bear in mind that's part of a bigger wave 4, and we would still have a large wave 5 to come to the upside. So if we were to fall to these sort of levels, maybe the 70-ish levels, that would mean short-term potential downside in crypto, but longer term, again, like S&P, like Bitcoin, we have new highs to come above that previous high that we saw here of 126 on Solana. So again, for those people who like to hodl, who really like Solana, who think it's an amazing blockchain, then I don't think there's any harm in holding. Yes, you would have to potentially suffer some downside, but I do believe, I'm reasonably confident that we've got more upside to come. So Solana's looking healthy, Bitcoin's looking healthy, the S&P is looking healthy. We can go on. If we can look at Ethereum, we looked yesterday, and I said yesterday when we looked at this channel that we broke above that channel, which is quite a good channel here that we can see on Ethereum. It's really been a good boundary for price above and below. We see 3 touches, 4 touches on the downside on support, 2 touches above on resistance, but we broke through resistance. So now we retested, and I said if we retest, then we're likely to go higher again, which is exactly what's happening. We may even retest again. But at the moment, what was overhead resistance, now we've broken through it, it now becomes support. So if price comes back down to retest it, there will be some resistance there in terms of actually being a support for the price. So the potential at the moment is we may see a retest of it, but again, it's looking reasonably bullish for Ethereum. And let's just move through some of the big ones. XRP. XRP is actually one of the ones which is least clear at the moment because there's so much choppy movement there. We could have some kind of leading diagonal, potentially 1, 2, 3, 4, and then if we did have this, would push up massively in a wave 5 at some point, not too distant future, if this is a correct count. If it is, it would be very typical of XRP, wouldn't it? Because XRP, when it does break out, it tends to break out really rapidly and aggressively, and that's potentially what we have ahead of us. But there's less certainty with this chart because it's so choppy and there's no real impulsive direction there. It's one of the least certain charts, so I wouldn't use this to direct my steps with my trading at the moment. But potentially, with the rest of the market looking positive, XRP is bound to be correlated, I believe, to some extent. So if the rest of the market breaks to new highs, new local highs at least, then I suspect XRP may follow suit and may be really aggressive in the process. So not certain, but from risk reward, it's not bad, is it? Because the risk would be potentially breaking this downside, the reward potentially massive upside. So from risk reward, I quite like XRP on that basis, but I need to look at it longer term charts and shorter term charts to try to determine where we are. And as long as we've got time, I'll just touch on a couple of other favorites, because we've had a lot of quite a big downturn recently in Litecoin, which is one of the favorites out there, one of the big tokens.
Litecoin is the right coin.
That's what they say. But again, we're seeing a lot of choppiness here. So, this B wave may not be complete, and I suspect we may have some upside to come. And that's actually, I haven't changed this chart. This is just what I had here a long time ago. I've not changed the lines here of where projections where I'm thinking the price might go. So we had a strong move down A wave. I think we're looking at potentially a bit more move up in a B wave, but it's typical of a B wave because again, it's very choppy. There's no clear direction there. It's all overlapping. Unlike this impulsive wave down here, which is very directional, this one isn't directional and it's kind of corrective sideways. So I think even if we push higher, which we probably will if the rest of the market goes higher soon, probably got another high to come in a B wave, then I think following that, we would probably get some more downside to come after that. So whilst medium term, I do think the markets have definitely got another high to come, I still think that longer term, we may have a deeper correction to come. And stop me whenever you want, Bruce, or if there's anything you want to particularly talk about, but I'll carry on running through the tokens for the time being.
Yeah, I think that's great. You can continue with running through some of them here.
Yeah. I mean, again, ICP, I'm touching on now some of the favorites that people really love. And ICP, we had that lovely correction down. It was very, very precise, wasn't it? Where basically the C wave, well, actually, it didn't even reach the 100% of the A wave. It reached the 0.786, which is another very important Fibonacci level. So when you reach these levels within a move, a price move, when you reach levels, this is quite an important Fibonacci. That's why it's on here. They're here for a reason. So 0.382 is here for a reason. Very, very important Fibonacci relationship there. 0.5, although it's not a Fibonacci relationship, it's always included. So within trading, price does often turn on the 50%. Then we got probably the most important, the 0.618, the golden ratio. And then after that, we've got the 0.786. Again, a very, very important fib number. And then we've got the 100%. And then you've got the extensions. So these are all retracements. And then you've got extensions, the 100%, 138.2, 161.8. 4.238 and so on and so on. So again, we've been through how to derive these Fibonacci numbers. It's all mathematical. It's been known for hundreds of years. It was actually derived originally by Indian mathematicians. They were the ones that originally, you'd think it would be an Italian, Fibonacci sounds like an Italian name, and I think it is an Italian name.
Right.
But it was actually derived long before the Italians laid claim to it, and it was actually Indian mathematicians, I understand, who actually discovered the Fibonacci sequence, and from that we derive these Fibonacci numbers, the retracements and extensions of the Fibonacci. So again, we appear to have had an ABC down on ICP, and before it we had some amazing perfect extensions to those Fibonacci numbers, 1.618, 618. These are amazing extensions that were very, very precise. And now we've having a correction, an ABC correction down, but it could be this is just an ABC correction higher. So we may potentially have, if this is a larger A wave down, this is a larger B wave up, we could potentially have a larger C wave down. So there may still be some further correction to be had before, again, we push, I think, to new highs, because this does look corrective to the downside here, and this looks corrective to the upside. So it means if it's corrective down and this is the impulse higher, then it means that we should reach new highs above this previous high here. So I know that ICP started way, way higher in the past. I'm talking about local highs here. And the local high here was 16.28. That was the top of this wave here. So what I'm saying is this is all corrective movement, and we may correct all the way down here. We may correct quite substantially down. But what I'm saying is, even if we correct down, I'm still reasonably confident that we'll see another push in a further impulse to the upside to exceed this wave here. Because if this was actually the end of this move, we would see impulsive moves down. That's not what we see. We're actually seeing corrective moves at the moment. So
amazing. I mean, ICP definitely one of my favorites. Now, how about on the US dollar to the euro? And I know maybe you didn't have this one pulled up already, but there was some interesting movement, not last night, but the night before, where the euro was gaining on the dollar, and then it kind of quickly retraced.
Yeah, I mean, I used to be very, very active in trading euro dollar. We'll just have a quick look at it. I mean, it's the biggest traded currency pair in the world. Just see, there it is, euro dollar. So we can draw up that chart very quickly. So this is the euro dollar chart. So very interesting currency pair. I'd say it's the most liquid currency pair in the world. It's the one that people love to trade because it's got massive liquidity and depth to trade. You can see here we got a big move up the other day. So obviously it's all relative. So when we see potential weakness in the US economy, we have to bear in mind is that are we seeing weakness in the euro economy at the same time? And we are seeing weakness in the euro economy, but clearly we saw a move up here in the euro against the dollar the last few days. And so, something's happening there economically. Maybe we got some slightly stronger numbers. I know that most of Europe is on the verge of recession. UK, although it's not part of Europe anymore, is actually in recession, technical recession. So, but the thing is, it doesn't matter whether you're in recession or on the verge of recession. It's a matter of what the forward outlook is. And I think we got some slightly more positive news out of Europe. And it just depends what news came out of the US. And again, there's election news. There's about, particularly in the US, but also elections are going on all around the world. And it's about what's happening there. If we just look long term, though, I think it's just important to have a quick look long term about where we are with the euro against the dollar. So this looks as though the overall trend, just looking at this, and this is going back for over 2 years now, the trend seems to be downwards, and we seem to be working on some kind of correction at the moment to the upside. So what I would say is, whilst we're correcting upside with the euro, in other words, the euro is strengthening against the dollar short term, and it has been for a little while. And look at this, we actually went below. We talk about the flippening with the pound. We had a flippening with the euro. But then we've recovered from that. But it seems to be a corrective move to the upside. So whilst the euro has been strengthening from that flippening that we had, the euro has been strengthening. It looks corrective. So it means that likely we're going to see some massive dollar strength in the future to take us back below here. So we're going to see a second flippening. It's not a second because we had one years back as well. But basically, we're going to see another flippening of the euro against the dollar where, for now, the euro is strengthening against the dollar, but the dollar is going to strengthen massively in the future. And whether that's economically driven or whether it's geopolitically driven, we don't know. But I suspect it's geopolitical.
And I just want to say that we are going to commercials on Smart Money Culture TV. Thanks for joining us here. We'll be back on the other side of the commercials. Thanks for watching us on Smart Money Culture TV on your TVs there in Texas and Louisiana. Sorry. Yeah, I would agree. Probably politically motivated.
Yeah. So I mean, as we're talking, I've unshared. I think I'm unshared. Stopped sharing. It's just, I do think it's interesting to see the. It's good that you brought that into it, because it actually gives us a view on what's happening in the overall world economy, because the world economy is kind of competitive, and we're looking at the big blocks, Europe, America, China, and Asia, Far East, and so on. And these are the really big trading blocks, the powerful blocks. America is the most powerful, but everything's relative against it. And Europe as a block is also very powerful as well. So it's very important, because there's a lot of trade still done between these different blocks. And if one of them's in recession or one of them's having a problem, it usually spills over. America's in a really strong position because they actually have one of the strongest internal economies of any economy in the world. So the internal, like America is so much business goes on within America. They're less dependent upon the rest of the world. And even when we look at oil, for example, America is now one of the big oil producers. It wasn't always, but it now is. And they're at the forefront of things like fracking. They've been fracking away for years. And for example, in the UK, we stopped for a long time because of environmental issues. America didn't stop, and they're actually leading the world again with fracking technology. And this is why we're seeing oil prices and gas prices. I talked about the demand side, but the supply side, America's producing so much these days. They're producing what they need. They don't need to worry so much about importing from Russia or wherever, or Saudi Arabia even. So that's why oil prices are now a little bit less responsive to some of the geopolitical tensions that we're seeing. And so it's just good to put all these pieces together and understand what's happening in the overall economy.
Yeah, it is. I'll tell you, it all fits together. I think this influx of money out of China really had a kickstart short term. Okay, so I am bringing us back in here. Welcome to Smart Money Culture TV. Thanks for watching us on your TV there in Texas and in as well in Louisiana. Really fresh off the press here, we have well, first of all, some news I wanted to share on Julian Assange and where the situation where he is at right now. We are waiting until March 21st. So on March 21st, the Supreme Court there in London is supposed to make a ruling. So they've had 2 days of hearings, and then now they're going to they're going to rule on whether they extradite him or not. I do think this is a very important moment in the history of the United States. Of course, most of us don't want Julian Assange to be brought here because, of course, if he is, most of us feel like he will be. He'll probably commit suicide in jail, and that's the sad state of affairs that we're in here in the United States. But the CIA, everyone knows really that they have been trying to kill him, to kill Julian Assange. What do you think about that, David?
Yeah, I'm definitely worried about them bringing him here, and he's done incredible work for the good people that weren't aware of a lot of what you would call crimes against society that happened, and he was able to expose them. And I don't really like people spying, and I like privacy and these type of things, but when you have your gut feeling in your heart to figure something out that needs to be exposed and it's going to save a lot of people's lives, then he really put himself on the line there. And I'm worried about him. They definitely should not bring him here, because that would be a terrible sign. And we saw what happened with other people that we've held in jail, and they didn't last very, very long.
Absolutely, and he didn't last very long. I think that obviously, if they do bring him over here, he's not going to last very long. He's in poor health, and as well, everybody knows that the CIA wants to kill him, and they want to kill him for telling the truth, for telling about the bad things that we did. Remember, war has rules. Even war, there's rules in war. And this censorship that they're trying to push right here, if they are successful in bringing Julian Assange back here, I think it bodes very, very badly for everything that's going on. And speaking of that, just here in the last hour or two, Libs of TikTok, which is a very popular person here on X, they've been banned, like myself, they've been banned at least once, I know. Now, Stripe, which Stripe is the payment platform that X is partnered with in order to pay out the influencers. So if you're a content creator or whatnot, and you are using X and you're getting you're in the rewards program and you're sharing with the advertising, then X or Stripe is how they pay us. And so Libs of TikTok put out a post a little bit earlier and said that Stripe has frozen their funds for over a month, and contacted Elon about it, tagged Elon, and said, do you really want to be working with this group if they're going to do it? So it remains to be seen what the reason is and how or what that happened. And of course, Libs of TikTok is known for being exposing or however you want to say it, saying stuff that isn't popular with these types of people. But if that is the case, and if Stripe is censoring or applying pressure on X to censor people, or they're not going to pay them, that is really a big development. What do you think?
Yeah, so I mean, Elon set up your Bitcoin wallet, so maybe he should start utilizing that. And I don't even think anybody would argue being paid in Dogecoin.
Paid in Dogecoin, David says. Actually, sounds pretty good. Payment in Dogecoin would be a pretty nice thing. Let me just tag Elon on that post. Hey, how about paying in Doge?
Yeah, this seems like the way to go. I mean, I don't think you can freeze Dogecoin. You definitely can just do it as a CEO of a bank, and they can't freeze Dogecoin.
Yeah, I mean, how about paying in Doge? How about paying in the doggy, Elon? I just tagged him on it. So I definitely, that may be what it comes to. Well, then of course, you come into the, you got to, of course, turn it into cash at some point. But that is, I would say, yeah. I mean, that would be the move. If Stripe is going to try and censor us, because what is Libs of TikTok saying? I mean, to be honest, they went over and they did their, honeymoon over in Israel and everything else. He's not saying anything too bad. Okay. I don't know what he's saying that made him upset. He's probably just talking about the border or whatever, but he's not saying anything too bad. I'll tell you that. So he's walking the line. So what is he saying that is making Stripe so upset? And
right.
And if that's the case, when we see once they start gaining speed, that's when they can really start getting you. So if they get away with it with Libs of TikTok, then of course it's next. Well, these guys, they're trying to shut down the central banks. We don't like what they're saying. And these guys, they're saying this. We don't like that either. And it just becomes this snowballing effect. And then of course you have what we saw, which is the FBI, which is a completely out of control situation. I put a post out over the evening, and I said, should we defund and shut down the FBI? And of course, everybody in the world says yes. That organization for over 100 years has been really used incorrectly First real big job they had was shutting down opposition of World War I.
Well, exactly. They were founded to protect these deep state actors and not actually protect the American people.
Maybe we would have never even had the Federal Reserve and the IRS, which were both started in 1913. It's possible that we wouldn't even had these organizations if the FBI hadn't been started. So the FBI started basically 1908, okay, and then we had the things leading up to it. They're pushing for World War I. We set up the Federal Reserve, the central bank, so that they can tax people and have people not realize that they're being taxed. Set up the IRS so we can tax the people, and even when they're realizing it, and enforce it. And then what comes next? World War I. 40 million people dead. We get a few years off. We have our roaring 20s. We go into depression into the 30s. The central bank orchestrates a stock market crash. There's a run on the banks. They seize all the gold. And we start World War II. 50 million dead. 50 million, 40 million, 50 million people dead. Now, here we are, 2024. We have the printing is totally out of control. I mean, the printing is it's unbelievable how much money that they're printing. And I think we're in another one of these situations where, and that's why they need that 95 billion so much. That 95 billion is going to cost every household $1,000. And again, I wanted to go over a little bit on that rate. So the government spent $6 billion last year. They only are pulling in 1.5 trillion rather. 6 trillion is what the government spent last year. They're only pulling in 1.5 trillion for tax revenue with income tax. But that means that your actual tax revenue is 4 times higher. It's 3x, right? It's 3x. Because they're bringing in 1.5 and they spent 6. So 3, 4.5, 6. Okay. So I want you, while you're filing your taxes this year, I want you to look and I want you to realize how much money you're actually getting taxed. I have to run the numbers too. I don't know what I'd have to look. Maybe I'll do that. You look at what the average person is making. I don't know what the average person makes anymore. Let's say the average person makes 100,000 and they pay about 20,000 in taxes. Let's just say 15. Let's say the average person makes 100,000 and they pay 15,000 in taxes. And that's what you think you're paying in taxes. But you're actually paying $60,000 in taxes because the central bank is taxing you from inflation. You have no control, you have no representation, and you have no way to stop it.
Yeah, and that's why everything seems so high. The pricing of everything is through the roof.
Because it is so high. It is so high. That's the truth. It is so high. So pretty crazy. We're going to be following obviously we're following the Assange case very closely. We're also going to follow this Stripe case very closely with Libs of TikTok. Hopefully, I'm sure Trump wields a lot of power. But maybe Doggy, the Doge, maybe the Dogecoin is the way to go. I like that idea. I would love getting paid in Doge. And you know what? He's got a ton of it.
Yeah. I mean, it would do wonders for the market as well.
It would do wonders for the market as well. Everybody would go crazy. Doggy to the moon.
Yeah, and Doggy gets utilized a lot.
Well, that's really the key is with these blockchains, with these cryptocurrencies, is they need to be used, right? That's the whole key to the thing. And so if you have a use case like that, Doggy, I think Stripe, I would love it. I would really like it a lot. I hope that happens. Isn't it great? And that's what we talk about, guys, with the monetary revolution. You should get involved. Go to AtCostMetals.Club. Get involved, get some metal. Go to AtCostBitcoin.Club. Get some Bitcoin, real Bitcoin, not ETF paper stuff. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Global Boost, Digibyte, old blockchains that they can't freeze, they can't seize, they can't take with court order. Those are the ones. That's what you need. because that's the only reason we're even having this conversation here. Elon would have no choice except to twist the arm of Stripe, which I'm sure he will. But he would have no choice. But we do have a choice because of Bitcoin, because of blockchain. Of course, we would all take our payments in Bitcoin too. Dogecoin, Dogecoin is a lot faster,
Yeah,
a lot more usable for these small
so
payments.
much fun. So much fun with
It's so
Dogecoin.
fun. So fun. Well, we're about to cut away on Smart Money Culture TV. Thanks for joining us again, guys, on Porter Brothers Show. We'll see you tomorrow morning on your TV at 5 a.m. 5 a.m. local time there in Texas, 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and again at 11 a.m. on your TV there local time, and 12 noon in Texas. Signing off. David, thanks, sir.
Yes, stay informed, stay lucrative. See you soon.
Your voice is powerful. When combined with social engagement, it's a force for change. Decentralized media paired with free speech is the catalyst for an empowered world and a unified, invaluable ecosystem. Join Global Boost, become a champion of free speech, and help to reshape the future of media.